What's up, guys and gals? Welcome back to the Nerd Castle for the next episode of The Long Dark. I'm putting my headphones on. That's why we're standing still so much here. Couldn't hear anything. And at the moment, actually, I don't normally wear headphones while I record this. I might keep it on one ear or something like that. And the reason why not has mostly to do with our wolfy little friends. Now, there are lots of places I can hide from wolves in here, so things are actually looking pretty good. We can sleep inside cars. In general, we're not really going to be forced around that much. The prevalence of wolves, mate, you should always check behind the visors. I think I've had a bullet fall out one time. I don't know if the game actually has, like, formal physics or whatever, but I'm pretty sure I've seen either a bullet. I've seen things up here before, like newspapers and things like that, so just be aware. I don't think anybody's going to need their registration papers anymore either, so if you need kindling, you need kindling. A survival situation. I think this house sometimes has a cellar. Be careful, because some of these over here have little cellars, or they have little storm shelters behind them. And so you should always do a full circle around all the burned down buildings. We actually got a little unlucky over here. I think these houses are randomly burned down, and sometimes they're randomly erected. And so, you know, obviously one thing you want to keep track of, it's never good to be randomly erect in public. The buildings are giving you a very bad example right now. I mean, it might work out well for you, I don't really know. It could go either way, I think. Oh, really? You can pop the hood? I wonder what they're planning on doing with the batteries, because the battery is very clearly a separate part of that texture right there. It's going to lift up and out at some point. You can see it. Huh. Maybe you can use the battery as a long-term fire starter or something like that? Maybe later on you're going to be able to get one of the cars started. Who even knows? I think in the storyline mode, you're probably going to find a Jeep or something at some point. Kind of four-wheel drive vehicle, and it's probably not going to have a battery or something. So that's probably just a placeholder for right now still. What just happened? I feel like my viewpoint is teleporting all over the place. There we go. That's not what I wanted my viewpoint to do for right now. Always check the back seats, too. Sometimes there's stuff in the back seats. You can also check the trunks, which I forgot to... Oh, okay. So as I was sitting around talking about all the various reasons why we should not bring a crowbar with us, I forgot you have to pry open trunks. You can't just, like, get them open. Although, I think you'd be hard-pressed with a pry bar to get a trunk open. That seems like it'd be tough. Trunks use this kind of little crow latch type thing. I don't even know what it's called, to be honest. It's kind of like a bird's beak or kind of like the little graspy arm in a toy machine. And I'm not sure how easy it would be. Got him. Not sure how easy it would be to pry that open. Now, I don't know how much leeway this is going to buy us here. But we're pretty hungry. What the hell is that noise? That bird is driving me nuts right now. Every time I say driving me nuts, it reminds me of a joke my friend used to tell all the time when I was a kid. About a pirate who's... It's about a pirate whose steering wheel is attached to his knob. And so you're always driving him nuts. You're like, they're driving me nuts. I'm not going to tell the whole joke. You get the basic premise. It was kind of like one of those 8th grade schoolyard jokes that everybody thought was really, really funny when you were that age. And as you get older, you learn to just not tell it quite as much because everybody's either heard it. It's kind of like the brown pants joke. I heard barking. I think he's on the opposite side of that hillock over there. I think. Let's go ahead and get the guts in the hide real fast and hope we don't get mauled. Still don't see him. I'm going to take the meat because we need it. I'd like to stay off of our preserved supplies for as long as possible, if it's manageable. Our hunger is going to get kind of high right now, too. I think I should probably dump some of this stuff off, grab a crowbar, and then we'll try to make good use of this whole area by... Oh, we got a bear. Black bear, brown bear, grizzly. It's hard to tell. You can usually tell by size. It's a pretty big bear. It's about the size of a car. So I'm going to go ahead and say it's a Kodiak or a grizzly. I don't know what you guys have in Canada. I assume you have the same ones that they have in Alaska, which is Kodiaks and grizzlies. I think they're the same thing, actually. Brown bears and grizzlies the same thing, or is it Kodiaks and grizzlies that are the same thing? I don't know. We have brown bears here, and we have black bears, and the brown ones are the one you got to watch out for. The black bears are actually, they'll just run away. They're kind of like big dogs. They won't mess with you. Unless, there's a caveat here, unless they have their cub with them. If they have a cub with them, then all bets are off. I can't predict exactly what they'll do. But we have that problem here because I live next to Yosemite, well, near Yosemite, to where I've been to Yosemite a lot of times. And so anyways, they have that problem. People come here, they come from basically countries or places where there are no bears, and nobody informs them, and they don't learn about bear safety. And so I'm hoping that if you ever end up coming to California or anywhere with bears, to be honest, that I will have at least instilled a little bit of bear knowledge on you. Because bears are, they're usually pretty skittish. Most bears are not going to mess with you unless you mess with them first, like throwing rocks at them, or, you know, be like, hey, 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 like trying to take pictures with them and shit like that. Same thing with buffalo. You should generally leave buffalo alone. I see that all the time when I go to like random places here in the United States where it's like people always want to mess with buffalo for some reason. We should probably get the gut going and get that started carrying, because we are going to need those hides in order to fix our stuff. We're going to have to go deer hunting pretty soon too, which is a little bit unfortunate. I think we had a dead deer back the way that we came, although I can't tell you 100%. We are going to have to cook some of this stuff. I may use this as kind of a meat locker, I suppose, which is kind of a offensive term for right now. Although I guess the real term is gut locker. But anyways. Oh god. Vulcanize the whoopee stick. I love that song. That song cracks me up every single time. I was a Bloodhound Gang fan. I can't help it. There's something just about Jimmy Pop. He's such an obnoxious, just like, sarcastic human being, and I can't help but like. It's the same reason that I like Eazy-E. What the hell was that? I'm gonna go ahead and assume that was a bug. I have no idea what just happened right there. I think maybe, I don't know, my mouse is getting older and I keep meaning to go buy another one. Anyways, sometimes when I click the left click, both clicks go off, and so maybe that's what happened. It probably was, I probably wasn't the game's fault. It was probably my shitty mouse's fault now that I'm actually thinking about it. We already hit all this right. Alright. So you guys see, kids, you didn't grow up with the Bloodhound Gang. I don't know if you even know who the Bloodhound Gang is. It's been long enough. It's been long. The Bloodhound Gang was basically this pop punk sort of verbal rap group. They were weird. They did techno, they did rap, they did pop punk. They did just about everything. What they really specialized in, though, was just trolling and being obnoxious and generally being offensive and making people's parents angry. And so they were pretty hilarious. If you've never, I mean, you should definitely listen to Hooray for Boobies. That's a pretty good album. You should also, I can't remember the name of all their albums now that I'm thinking about it. I mean, all their albums have their own merits. Every single one of their albums is entertaining in its own way. I mean, some of them are more techno, some of them are more metal, some of them are more like rap, some of them are more pop punk. They kind of swapped every other album to like a different medium. Like they did the same thing in a different medium. Think of them as like the offensive version of DC Talk. Like, if I don't know if you know Christian bands either, but DC Talk is this band that basically they would do a different type of music every single time something got popular. So like, where's this kid at? There he is. We should also probably keep an eye out for that bear. I'm really not out here trying to get snuggles right now from our cuddly toilet paper peddling friends. Alright, well, I'm going to name him Charmin. That's the name of the bear from now on. The bear's name is Charmin Ultra. I think Charmin bailed out. I don't think he's around here anymore. And if he is, he might have bedded down somewhere, because I think we're getting towards the end of the day. Yeah, we're definitely in the evening. I don't know when it gets dark during this season in Canada, but I can assume it's probably earlier on, because it gets dark around here in winter around 4:30, 5 o'clock. That's when the sun's usually down, like ready to go down, as in you can't see the sun anymore. So it sucks, too, because it varies so much, and it throws off my sleeping habits like crazy. Like, as in the summer, it doesn't get dark till about 10 o'clock at night. It stays light forever. And then winter, here, the last couple of years, it's not normal. The last couple of years, we've had only 2 seasons. We have summer and winter. I don't know what's going on, or if it's like a global warming thing, or what the hell it is. I really can't tell you if it's just like a weird fluctuation in like the natural order of things. I'm not really sure. I'm not one of those climatologists or anything. What I can say, though, is that when I was a kid, we had seasons. Nowadays, we just have summer and winter. And it's like it transitions in between the two almost instantaneously. Like, I shit you not, 2 weeks ago, it was 100 degrees outside. And today, it's now 40 degrees outside every single day. Obviously in Fahrenheit, because imperial system, what? I know it's a stupid system. Actually, I talked about this in stream with people. So a lot of people question why Americans haven't moved over to the metric system yet. It's actually a logistical problem. It has nothing to do with like an unwillingness or whatever. I mean, I think there is some natural arrogance about it for some reason, even though the imperial system is kind of shitty. The metric system definitely makes more sense. I used it all through college. So anyways, once you get to college, kids, you're never going to use imperial anyways ever again. You're just going to use metric for everything, so you might as well get on it now. I assume that in AP classes and stuff like that, in order to get you ready for college, they probably teach metric as well. However, that being said, it's not like they don't teach the units. Like when I was in elementary school, they definitely taught the metric system and the imperial system, and they would ask you questions about it. They'd be like, oh, do this conversion in the imperial system. This many kilos of whatever of this equals this much in the metric system. You know, they do teach it to you, but it's a logistical problem. In order to go through and retrofit, the problem is our entire society is built on the imperial system, like roads, everything from our engineering to like a lot of things here are built on the imperial system. So if it's anything from like 1980 back, it's probably built on the imperial system. And retrofitting and going back through, I read a rough cost analysis of what it would take government-wise just to retrofit everything into metric, and it would be a pretty it's a lot more money than I expected. I remember reading it just being like, oh my god, well, it's no wonder they don't do it. Digging up money for expenditures just to change things around and, you know, update the paperwork on everything ever built in every municipality. I mean, it'd give a lot of people jobs, a lot of people unemployed nowadays. It's not hard to teach somebody to do conversions, although I'm not sure I want somebody converting our hydroelectric dam from here. I'm going to turn on a light real fast. I don't think I'm going to want somebody converting dams and other things and like plane measurements and stuff like that. I'm talking about like airplanes, like meow. I don't know if I want people converting those who don't have college degrees and stuff like that. I don't know. I'd like somebody to have some vested interest in. I'm not really sure. I don't think the college degree will help. I see people with college degrees doing dumb shit all the time too. I'm just saying we got to come up with some kind of credential before we allow somebody to do the conversions. Because I will tell you, after doing loads and loads of conversions, you get lazy. You get lazy that one time and then you mess up the conversion. You're like, oh, I just killed a bunch of people in that mine that I just designed. Well then, go ahead and pretend like that never happened. Shred that up and let's go ahead and redo it. We used to have to do these random like problems where you would organize bore operations. Obviously, insert joke there. College students are snarky like that. And believe me, they were pretty boring. And so, you know. I think I'm going to give one last sweep. We're done here. But anyways, we had to do these borehole problems where essentially, oh, there's cooked rabbit inside the oven? No way. Is it okay to eat? Looks good enough to me. I'll take it. I'll take it. That'll hold us over for another hour or two while we finish scavenging. But anyways, what was I talking about? Oh, yeah. We used to do these problems where they're called 3-point problems. And we used to do some other problems, too, about, like, mine shafts and stuff like that in college. And so, anyways, they were all fairly precision-based. Just be aware, I've killed a lot of people. I'm pretty sure that if it wasn't like a college exercise, I would have killed a lot of people. Then again, that's the point of the exercise, to get people used to doing it so that when it comes down to the real deal, you don't kill people, especially with engineering and stuff like that. Let's go ahead and pry this little bastard open for keeping his treasure from me.
Best be prepared.
Yeah, doing some burglary. Let's do it. Burglin', 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 burglin'. I may take off my boots and use the shittier boots that we just picked up, the work boots, instead of the ones that we have, just because we don't have the supplies right now to actually repair the boots that we're currently wearing. And you kind of want to... Oh, I think that's the wolf that we actually wounded the other day. I think that's him right there. Or her. Not really sure. Either way, we should definitely make use of it. If we're trying to be long-term sustainable, I do think that lining up food for 4 or 5 days, not a bad plan. Kind of frozen. Doesn't look like he's been ravaged, though, yet. So let's go ahead and take the gut out, because I need the wolf hide and I need the gut in order to fix my cloak. And then we'll also take the meat out real fast, and we want to use the hatchet for that. I didn't even know you could swap tools. I knew you could swap tools, but I didn't know there was actually any functionality to it. And so thank you to the people that brought it up down below. It's one of those old things that I didn't think about until somebody actually brought it up. And I was like, you know what? The numbers did seem like they were a little bit different. I was hoping we would find that wolf while we were out and about. And so I'm really, really happy about that. That's a good day for us. Did I already go in here? No, I went in that one right there. Let's go inside this one. I'd like to pick this one clean real fast, and then we'll start working on some of the other locations. We'll get dinner all nice and cooked up. Once dinner's done, that'll give us a little bit of leeway to start working on other projects. I think this game could really, really benefit from some kind of RPG system, though. Something where you could upgrade guns and make them a little bit better by modifying the receivers Fallout style. I definitely think that they should give you a bullet press at some point. But if they're going to give you a bullet press, they should make the game quite a bit more difficult as well. Got a water bottle up inside of there. Now, obviously, I don't know how much weight I'm carrying right now, but I've got to assume that the amount that we have on our backs has got to be pretty incredible. One cabinet at a time. Got some peanut butter. Hell yeah. That right there is hobo food. Peanut butter. I've talked about this before in previous iterations. Survival food, as survival foods go, peanut butter is one of the best things you can possibly have because it's a moral food, or it's a morale food. And what I mean by that declaration is that I watched a show one time where a guy spent like a year living as a hobo or as a homeless person because he had been a homeless person previously. He was into like the gutter punk movement and all that kind of stuff. And so he wanted to show you how to survive on the streets. Like living rough, he was teaching you how to survive sleeping on curbs and shit. And it was a really fascinating show because he showed that surviving in an urban setting is very, very difficult. He was doing it without panhandling. He was doing it without all this other stuff. Basically, he was teaching you how to bum rides and like hitchhike, and he was teaching you how to do all kinds of random stuff. Very cool show, like a super awesome show. And so anyways, one of the big things he brought up is that if you're trying to live for a long period of time on the streets and you're just trying to get rid of hunger pangs and you're trying to keep your morale up, you buy a loaf of bread, just normal sliced like Wonder Bread. You buy Tang and you buy peanut butter. And what you'll do is you take the bread and you roll it up into dough balls in your hands. And then what you do is you go ahead and you dip it in the peanut butter and you eat that. And what he was saying, I've never tested this out, but what he said is that that'll keep you going for like an entire day. It sticks to your ribs. It makes it, what happens is the peanut butter forces your stomach lining to stick to itself, which makes you feel like you're full even though you're not. And so he said it's travel food because you eat it and you feel like you're full and you feel like you're energized and you're doing it all on a budget. You can get Jiffy peanut butter or you can get Jif peanut butter for like nothing. It's super cheap, like dirt cheap. And then you can also get Wonder Bread for really, really cheap. The Tang is for the same thing. It's for sugar because your brain needs sugar in order to think properly. And so you take the dough balls the exact same way and you dip them in the Tang powder and you eat them like that. And it's kind of like an orange, kind of like a poor man's orange cake, I guess. Works out pretty well. Well, our match problem is gone, I'm happy to say. So I guess we don't have to worry about that any further. Can you siphon anything off this tank over here? You know, I don't really know a whole lot about propane tanks or whatever. Somebody's going to be like, that's a septic tank, you jackass. No, it's a propane tank. I don't really know a whole lot about that, but I would assume that if you get the propane out of there, that'd probably be a useful supply to have. We're running out of daylight, so I'm going to break into this car over here. And once we got the car broken into, I think we're going to retreat back inside. We'll get stuff organized for right now. We'll get ourselves fed, which I think is going to be a major part of this too, because we're definitely starting to look a little bit the worse for wear. The worse for here. That's the worse for wear. Jump up inside of this car real quick. I got some more matches. I think I'm okay with that. Some more matches. I don't keep matches in my car, but then again, I don't smoke in my car or anything like that either. In general, I don't smoke very often anyways. You'll always find a pack of cigarettes in my house, or at least a pack of cigars or something. That's because I do occasionally enjoy smoking. I don't know, it makes me feel good. It makes me feel revitalized, and I believe that if you're going to worry about everything on earth that's going to kill you, it's a miserable way to live your life. It's funny because most of the people that bitch at me about smoking go out and drink every single weekend and stuff like that. I'm like, well, you know, you're just trading lung damage for liver damage. You realize that. You're just trading like lung cancer for cirrhosis. I mean, it is what it is. You can drink yourself into a stupor to be happy, or you can smoke every now and again. I don't bitch at you for your vices. Don't bitch at me for mine. I know, I'm not like a pack-a-day smoker or anything like that. I probably smoke like 1 or 2 cigarettes a week, maybe. And that's on like a really, really like stressful week. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to pack in some of these matches because there's absolutely no reason why we need this many matches with this. I don't like the flip matches anyways, the cardboard match envelope, match packets, whatever the hell you want to call them. I like the wood ones a little bit better, which are in a box around here somewhere. So, oh wow, we have a bunch of those too. Okay, well we'll go ahead and I guess stack a couple of those in too. 36 matches is perfectly fine. Got lots of stuff around here that we need to get rid of and put in play. I think I'll probably stack up, so the meat locker on this side. Once I get a fire started, we'll get this going. But we got some rabbit meat in there. Be careful about eating a meat-only diet when you're out in nature, by the way. Rabbit fever is a very real problem. Rabbit fever is essentially when your brain starts to consume itself for nutrients because you aren't getting enough fat in your diet. In general, this is why most survival enthusiasts will really sort of push on you to, when you kill something, you should eat the brains, you should eat the eyeballs, you should eat any of the fatty tissues, because most animals are pretty lean. I don't know if most people realize this, but animals running around in nature that you would hunt, they're not fat, they're not well, unless they're bulking up for winter and they're a hibernating animal. In general, they tend to be very, very lean because most animals are just barely making it at any given moment. You know, deer, any sort of prey animal kind of lives day by day. And so anyways, they burn a lot of calories and they don't eat a whole lot. Everything they eat is like roughage and like random fruits and veggies and things like that, so they don't store fat very well. But you have to eat the fatty material off an animal when you hunt it. So for example, from the wolves, I would have harvested the eyes and I would have harvested the brain as well, and I would have cooked it up and I would have ate it. Downright, it would have been unpleasant. It's not something that I'm accustomed to eating, but the reason why is because the lean meat that you get off the legs or the torso or anywhere else, it's not going to have enough fat to get you through your day, and then you risk getting rabbit fever, which was a very real problem for trappers. And, ooh, we can fit in the Bay Area now. Yeah, peacoats, if you don't know, peacoats are very trendy in the Bay Area and always have been. Dreadlocks, you wear dreadlocks, and dreadlocks, peacoats, and a beanie. Very, very popular here. Very, very popular. Obviously, I don't have the dreadlocks, but I'd like to get a peacoat. I don't have one, but I'd like to have one, just so I can be hip, so I can be with it. I need to throw a few more tools in here, but aside from that, I think I'm going to break this one off a little bit early, just because I don't think people are going to be too interested in watching me store stuff inside of cabinets and move things around. My name is Splattercat. Thank you for joining me here at the Nerd Castle for the next episode of The Long Dark. I hope you had a good time hanging out with me. I had a good time hanging out with you. I absolutely am in love with this game. I'm enamored with it. And I find this game to be really, really sort of entertaining on a visceral level. It's a thinking man's survival game, is how I heard somebody put it. And I find that to be actually a pretty fair assessment of it. It's a game about stockpiling, about thinking forward, and just really trying to make sure that, you know, you don't get killed by stupidity before you get killed by starvation. I'll see y'all later. Hi, do everybody.